Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we're talking revenge. You guys, I am so excited to be here. I can't thank you enough for sticking with me through the entirety of Spare. In case you missed it, we just made it through the entire book of Spare. I recapped it, I broke it up. I think it ended up being 7 videos. It was a lot. It was hard to get through, but now we get to talk about something fun. So let's get into revenge. Let's talk about it. I have read Revenge before. I loved it. I thought it was very well written, very detailed. I mean, this guy, Tom Bower, does such a good job researching and really putting facts out there. I've had so many of you comment, it's so telling because Harry and Meghan love to sue press and news and stuff. And so they haven't been able to sue Tom because it sounds like he's pretty factual in his coverage, especially of Meghan. So my plan is let's read through this book. Like I said, I've read it before. I'm not going to do every single detail because that's not what we're here for, right? We are here for the good stuff. I thought this video, I kind of give people an overview. So if you're not familiar with the book, P.S., go buy this book. If you're not familiar with the book, I thought I'd tell you some of the backstory that he found out about Meghan. And then we'd get into the good clips and react to it and hear like what actually, I can't wait to get down or to get into what went down at the photo shoot with Meghan. There's a terrible behaved photo shoot where she apparently acted just awful. It sticks with me. So I can't wait to dive into that and all the other terrible things she's being accused of. So we'll talk about all of it. This is written by Tom Bower. It came out in July of 2022. If you're not familiar with Tom Bower, he is a British writer. He's a former BBC journalist. He's a television producer. He's known for his investigative journalism. He writes a lot of unauthorized biographies. He usually does like business tycoons, newspaper people, things like that. He's done, Muhammad Al-Fayed, Robert Maxwell, Richard Branson, Jeremy Corbyn, Boris Johnson, you name it, he's probably written about it. So again, next week comes the book Courtiers by Valentine Lowe. I've been told to pronounce it Valentine, so that's what I'm going with. Valentine Lowe puts out a book next week about the courtiers. I've had people in my comments that have read it. I believe the book's already out. It's that the audiobook comes out. I have ADD so bad I do much better with the audiobooks. I'm going to give that a listen. I'll give you a few days to catch up, to read it, and then I figured we could discuss it. In the meantime, we're going to be talking revenge. I'm so excited to get in this book with you guys. You guys are my people. I love your comments. I love reading your thoughts on all of this. We are having a live chat this Saturday. It is the 21st of January, so check that out. Last time we'd planned to go an hour. We ended up going for 4. I had so much fun, had 3,000 people show up, and everybody was commenting, and we seriously just laughed the whole time and made fun of Harry and Meghan. So look for that. If you're around, pop in, say hi, join the chat. It'll be so much fun. What else? I have new merch up. I know you've heard about that. It's teespring.com/Real Housewives Recaps. Recollections may vary. In a world of Meghan's being Catherine, I have all kinds of fun stuff up. So check that out. Okay, revenge. So as I said, I've actually read this book before. So this was kind of just, after everything else I've read, remembering everything. I'm going to hit some of the, just kind of an overview, and then we're going to get into some clips. This video is more about setting the foundation. From here, I really want to get into the juicy clips. I'm dying to listen with you guys, to react to it. We're going to see how it goes. This video, I thought we'd talk about the book itself and lay the groundwork for what's to come. But it starts out with Meghan's backstory. It starts out with her childhood, with growing up. Now, many of you know he is releasing more to this book, actually. We're just told sometime in the spring. I haven't had a date. As soon as anybody gets a date, please let me know in the comments because I will be picking it up and devouring it. But it's supposed to go into even more of her childhood, and I believe, more of where the heck was Doria during her childhood. He kind of brushes over it a little bit. He gives a few details, but Doria isn't in Meghan's life, I believe, for like 10 years is what's being alleged. So I think he's going to delve into that. I can't wait. Can't wait to hear what happens there. It's all about her ambition and her drive. That's something that he goes deep into. He talks about, he worked alongside of Thomas with this book and talks about Thomas's love for Meghan. I've definitely been harsh on Thomas in the past. I have changed my tune a little bit. There are things about Thomas that bug me, but in general, I don't, regardless of how I feel about, oh, that was a dumb move, going to the press to stage the pictures. It's not worth abandoning your father over. That's ridiculous. And so I totally understand why he feels the need to put his story out there, since he was initially painted in such a bad light. So we get the story of Thomas and how Thomas and Doria met. Thomas in lighting on Married with Children, and Doria was working to assist makeup artists, or training to be a makeup artist, it sounds like. He talks about what it was like for him. He was white, Doria's black. He did get asked about the color of the baby, and I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at, that's interesting that it became a discussion for Meghan. That's something that comes up a lot. Thomas kind of explains what really happened versus Meghan's version of events on things. Tom Bauer says Doria was neither gentle nor loving. They go out of their way to explain that it sounds like Doria wasn't a big part of Meghan's life. She was not the nicest, according to them. And again, calling her neither gentle nor loving. And yet she's being painted a different way. History rewriting itself, right? We go into the school of it all, Meghan's upbringing, Meghan's schooling. Doria at this point was traveling. She started a jewelry company. She had to travel a lot. He goes into how protective Thomas was of Meghan, that at one point school was kind of getting rough. So he put her in Immaculate Heart, which is, if I understand it correctly, it's a private Catholic, I think it's an all-girl private Catholic school. He goes really deep into how growing up she didn't, now this is a quote, until recently she never said she experienced any form of not being included. They go out of their way to say, no, she had a very happy upbringing and that wasn't really an issue for her, being of mixed race, and now it's convenient that she likes to tote that out a lot. So I find it interesting, coming on the heels of the whole, saying that the royal family is racist and then backpedaling saying we never said that, the press said that. Okay. They go into how Thomas continued to spoil her. He talks about, he has his two other children, Samantha and Thomas Jr., but Meghan was the first one he could actually afford and spoiled, and it was just a different situation with her. And where Doria wasn't in the picture, he raised her and made her the center of his universe. He'd have to work long days on set, so he would do things like send a car from the studio or a limo to go get her and bring her to the studio. And skipping forward, we go into traveling to London, actually, and going in front of Buckingham Palace. We've seen the photo of her when she was young in front of Buckingham Palace. She picked up Diana's book and got completely fascinated with it. It sounds like she read it quite a bit, fascinated by the royal family, even though she claims she had no knowledge. She had never Googled her husband, you guys. She didn't know anything about the royal family. She doesn't even know how to bow. We lead up to the graduation. She graduated from Northwestern. She started to get into movies. She had her dad take her for headshots. She got, extra work in things like A Lot Like Love. She met Trevor. This is after graduation, she met Trevor. Trevor, of course, being her first husband. He was a film producer from New York. He could help her emotionally and financially. So it was like a convenience thing. He had great connections, and he, knew agents and people in the right industry, right? And so Meg moved in within a few months of meeting Trevor. That's when she got Deal or No Deal around that time. She was one of 26 hostesses with the briefcase. We know the story there. She got to know Brett Ratner through Trevor. Trevor was casting her in a few things, but the book does not beat around the bush at all. Meghan lacked charisma. Directors found her unimpressive and ordinary. That is straight quote from the book. that she has continued to rephrase her story. That seems to come up a lot, that when things are convenient, then she'll switch the narrative around, right? And it was from here that we go into when she got Suits. She says that mixed race thing was held against her often and would lead her to not getting roles. But then the people that cast Suits came out and said, we didn't realize she was mixed race. That did not hold her back. She got the part, right? We found out she's making $50,000 an episode in Suits. It was supposed to film in New York, but at the last minute, they decided for budget reasons that they should film in Toronto. Most of the cast was upset. Meghan was ecstatic. And so that led to her living her life, instead leaving LA, where she had set up a life with Trevor, and instead living in Toronto. She still ended up marrying Trevor after this, but it does not go well, as we know. And it ends up with the rings being mailed back. So that's kind of the rough overview of the beginning part. I say that because I love this book. To me, the beginning part drug a little bit. It was a lot of social climbing and changing personalities to win friends and become popular and stuff. I mean, everything that we've heard, right? So it kind of gives the backstory of that. So I thought I'd fill you in there. Let's get into the fun part. Let's get into some of these clips from the beginning of the book. I just want you to hear how Tom, now it's not Tom narrating, it's a different narrator, how this is being narrated and what they're saying about her in the book.
To the producer's bemusement, Meghan was keen to set up her permanent home in Toronto rather than commute like all the other actors from Los Angeles. Unexpectedly, she also revealed that she would stay in Toronto beyond November after filming ended. Leaving Los Angeles and Trevor, Meghan told the producers, was not a downside. Meghan needed to be in total control. If necessary, Suits was her get-out card from the relationship.
Okay, let's get into some juicy stuff. So after this, she still agrees to marry Trevor, and take a listen to what happens the night before the wedding.
The night before the wedding ceremony, Trevor described in his speech during the dinner a book he had prepared about his and Meghan's lives. The book's conclusion said Trevor was his pledge to give Meghan the family home she never has had. Thomas's and Doria's jaws fell.
Does that sound familiar at all? Like, framing the past so that way it draws attention to whatever she wants at the time?
We looked aghast at each other, said Thomas. She had had 2 good families and all the love and attention any child could want. Both wondered what Meghan had told Trevor about her childhood.
And then she went on to marry a big spoiled baby, Prince Harry, who she could manipulate pretty much however she wanted by telling him pretty much whatever she wanted.
There is Meghan before fame and Meghan after fame, summed up Priddy, glancing through a photograph album. Unapologetically, Meghan started cancelling lunches with her old Los Angeles friend at the last moment, explaining how she feared that she would be recognized. Priddy felt a new coolness. The tone of her voice, her mannerisms, the way she laughed didn't seem real to me anymore.
And what's funny is that's exactly the thing that I've pointed out, that a lot of you in the comments have pointed out, is that her way of speaking, her mannerisms, down to her handwriting, all feels very rehearsed, very controlled, very scripted.
Her time became increasingly important. When she was in town, she'd want you to drop everything to see her. If I was busy, it would be, "Why don't you want to see me? I'm here. Let's hang out." On other occasions, she refused Priddy's suggestions to meet for lunch. Priddy felt awkward. It was like a light switched off. We began to talk less. I felt if I questioned her behavior, I'd be left on the outside.
Gee, does that at all sound familiar to anybody? No? Just me? Okay.
"It's tonight. So proud of my amazing wife," Trevor posted on the 24th of January, 2013. And then went to the Oscars in Los Angeles without Meghan. Omid Scobie, Meghan's self-styled spokesman, would interpret that as a snub. Scobie is an unusual journalist.
Side note, can't stand Omid Scobie. Think he's as bad as she is. And they're definitely in cahoots, obviously, we know this. And he's part of the problem with calling the royal family awful names and spreading that nonsense that Harry and Meghan were trying to push at everybody.
According to Scobie, Meghan had always mentioned her dream to go to the Oscars, especially as a star. In reality, she refused to join her husband. Living apart had made them incompatible. Living the dream of Suit's success, she decided that Trevor's demand that they have children did not match her ambitions. She told friends in Toronto that she did not want children with him. With her own money, she felt there was no duty or obligation to anyone but herself. In hindsight, her marriage seemed to be transactional. A FedEx envelope delivered to Trevor's home was a bombshell. Inside was Meghan's diamond engagement ring and her wedding ring. There was no note.
Nice, huh? No note, no anything. Just mailed the rings back. Anybody else surprised she actually mailed them back? I am. P.S. That guy ended up going on to marry a very nice lady that's like daughter of a billionaire. So Trevor is probably doing a happy dance and thanking his lucky stars now.
Splitting from Trevor, Pretty realized, showed that Meghan was calculating, very calculating, in the way she handled people and relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivated circles of friends. Once she decides you're not part of her life, she can be very cold. It's this shutdown mechanism she has. There's nothing to negotiate. She made her decision, and that's it.
Again, does that sound familiar to anybody? Sounds like she did it to her dad. It sounds like she convinced Harry to do it to the royal family, and I will be here when they announce that she's done it to Harry.
Meghan flew across the Atlantic in November 2013 to secure contracts for work and on a manhunt. To promote herself, she had hired Sunshine Sachs, a PR agency in Los Angeles, famous for crisis management and known to represent Ben Affleck, Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, Leonardo DiCaprio, Justin Timberlake, Jennifer Lopez, Snoop Dogg, and Natalie Portman. The firm denied reports that they represented disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein in 2015. The agency was accused of doctoring their clients' wiki entries to remove negative material.
So keep that in mind, because mysteriously, Meghan's wiki got edited as well when it was time to meet a young, very stupid crayon-eating prince to show, instead of, I don't know, whatever she was up to all of a sudden humanitarian work. Isn't that mysterious and miraculous? It's a miracle, you guys. All right. So that's where I'm leaving this one. We are going to get into the juicy clips next time. We're going to start getting to more diva behavior. I just kind of wanted to lay this foundation down so that way you'll have a refresh of how it all started, how we got to the Meghan and Harry of it all, and the Meghan that we know now. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Every comment you leave, I read. I love your support so much. I can't thank you enough for sticking with me through Spare. I can't thank you enough for being here for this. And I can't wait to keep talking to you. So again, consider joining the live chat on Saturday if you're around. I'd love to talk to you. And just keep leaving comments, hitting that thumbs up button, sharing my stuff. I'm really trying to continue to grow. I am definitely going to Coronation, and I can't wait to bring you that coverage. I'm so excited. And I couldn't do it without you guys. You guys are the reason that I'm able to do things like that. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.